Which artist of the past would you resurrect to collaborate with, and why? Obviously not an actual artist, although maybe. But
okay, so I mean, I could choose
a comedian.
A comedian or something. Okay. Do you know what I think? Oh God, there's too many. I think the main one for me would be Charlie Chaplin.
Wow, brilliant.
Yeah. I was always, as a kid, I was obsessed with Chaplin as a kid. From the age of about 6, I actually belonged to the Charlie Chaplin Society of London, of which I got to meet Paul Merton actually through that, because he was a member too.
Oh yes, yeah, he is. He does lectures and things, doesn't he? About Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton and people.
Yeah, he really loves them and loves that sort of silent comedy. And I just really took to it as a kid. I found the Tramp, as they call it, just really tragic. And once again, going back to that pathos and that underlying tragedy, this guy's got no home, but he's got hope. He's got nothing but hope. And I think the slapstick side of things, I think he was a genius. He was a fantastic musician. He used to write the music for his films, and which is obviously a big part of it. Because
is he?
Yeah. I mean, they're all silent films, and I mean, his later ones he wrote. I mean, the first ones, the earlier ones, where he was with just before Max said it, they wouldn't have a fixed soundtrack, so they'd be in like a barn cinema, and there'd be someone playing an upright honky tonk piano, and it wouldn't really fly. So for the later ones, he wrote his own music. He's a violinist and a pianist. He's just a truly inspirational, great man. I think I've always loved him. I've always loved how iconic the character is, the Tramp. And watch films like, I don't know if you've ever seen any Chaplin films from start to finish, but watching films like The Kid and obviously The Great Dictator is the one that everyone seems to know the most, because it was his first talking film. And it was his last as the Tramp.
And he plays Hitler.
Plays Hitler, yeah. So that there's a speech at the end which is just one of the most beautiful speeches I've ever heard ever. It actually was sampled in a Paolo Nutini song. It's very, very popular speech, but I just really, really loved him, and always have done since I was a kid. So I think he would be my first choice to bring back, and I'd love to work with him. Jakko is very inspired by Chaplin.
I was just about to say, I can see a little bit of Charlie Chaplin in the inspiration of Chaplin in Jakko. Actually,
it's that stance, it's the downtrodden sort of kind of trampy look, just to quote Chaplin.
But also being slightly on the outside of what is that? I'm trying to think how to put it. Yeah, he's kind of living slightly, literally living outside, but like living outside of other people's worlds a little bit, kind of in his own little worlds, and trying to fit in and trying to cross into.
Totally. I think
it fits into everybody else's agenda and what's going on around him.
Yeah, just being an outsider, I think, just being that different person that society seems to reject, but they've got a heart of gold, a really big heart. It's the same. It's the same with Chaplin, Jakko. Chaplin obviously is a homeless guy who is just trying to earn a bit of money and sort of like cons his way through life, but has a big heart.
Chaplin was also was basically a clown as well. Like I'm thinking of things like the bread roll dance with the knives, the two forks.
He was.
Visual comedy. Well, of course, Charlie Chaplin visual comedy. Obviously,
really slapstick based. Before he was in film, he used to tour with like a live performing comedy show, of which he did a lot of clowning. But it's just I think the genius of him, or of anyone that does silent comedy, is it solely relies on slapstick and solely relies on body language and movement. And I think that I've always been interested in that. I've always been interested in sort of speaking a million words, but in just actions. And I think Chaplin does that beautifully. And it's certainly a massive inspiration for me as a comedian, a writer, and an actor, I suppose.